just like the comet that hit the Earth, the flavor in this new Extinction Event is going to hit like a big impact.
Welcome to the Confluence Tap Room. I'm John Martin, head brewer and co-founder, and I'm joined by
Matt Johnson. I'm still a cellar dweller.
That's okay. You know what? I was sweeping the floor this morning, so it doesn't really matter. It's all good. So we're back in
them.
Yeah. It takes an army to keep a brewery clean. So we're back in the tap room for another Beer Week release, and this week we've got another in our Extinction Event series. This one I think is number 29.
29.
So it's been going on since I think early 18.
Wow.
We did this. Maybe it was.
That's pretty good. Dang.
Maybe it was late 18 and early 19 when we did the first touch batches, but the Citra Whole Melon was the bomb diggity back then. we had to start somewhere. So, a few iterations of yeast later. Do we have the Helio Gazer in this? I think we do.
You think so?
I think we do.
Here, let me man has to gaze in
so hazy IPA series, if you're not familiar with it.
Yeah, and hazier than normal, I think, too.
Yeah. Actually, mine doesn't look. It looks. I can see through it almost. But it's got a nice haze.
Oh no, that's the session.
Yeah.
That guy was definitely hazier than.
Yeah. So it's a series. We rotate through hops. This one is Mosaic, Eldorado, and Comet. And we've got, the Mosaic is hand-selected. The Comet is estate grown by Crosby Hops.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why the box looked different when I dry hopped it.
Yeah, it did really well when we went to Yakima and Portland area and did our selections. And we didn't select this, but it was available, and we got to rub it, and it was amazing. So we thought we better put in a beer. So if you have our Long Ride Pale Ale, this is like a jacked up version of that. It's the Mosaic and Eldorado are the two hops in that beer, and then we added some Comet, made it hazy, little Helio Gazer yeast.
When I tasted it out of the bright tank, I was like, man, I don't know. I don't think it's really, it's not gonna zing zang you. It's not some double IPA. And I was like, and I'm, that's sort of like what I inject. And then I tasted it in can this week. I got home, opened one, and the can had been sitting out for a while.
Oh, warmed up.
It was not at beer fridge temperature. It was not room temperature, but in between, and it even gets better, warmer.
Nice. I tend to think this one is a little subdued in the nose, but it makes up for it in the flavor. I think it's and I think that nose is going to come out more, like you said, as it warms up.
It totally does, yeah. And I think the flavor, you really start getting some just fantastic flavor. The flavors really start exploding.
A little pineapple.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're right on the cusp of good weather. This will be a crushable beer for the next month or 6 weeks. So,
I mean, maybe not today.
Yeah.
But I think it's 50 again by the weekend. So
it's all good. So talk about.
I got some facts.
What do you got?
All right. So we found out that this is on here is the Brachiosaurus, which that dinosaur. Like everybody learns about this dinosaur when they're 4. And just to start off, so you know what dinosaur we're talking about, that's the dinosaur that was in 1993's Jurassic Park. That's the tall, long-necked dinosaur. So its name is generic, meaning arm lizard, and specific meaning deep chest.
Arm lizard, deep chest.
Yeah. Okay. It was a sauropod, lived in the late Jurassic, which is 154 to 150 million years ago. It was about 59 to 72 feet long and 30 to 50 tons. This guy was a big boy. He's considered, there are bigger dinosaurs since that have been found, but this is sort of like, this is the one.
Yeah.
It was first discovered in 1900 in Colorado. Probably used its tail as a defense mechanism because it was extremely long tail.
Heavy.
As like a whip.
Yeah.
And then more recently they have come about saying that it was probably warm-blooded. And more they're thinking, yeah, it's just not possible that they were all cold-blooded reptiles, that they were more warm-blooded or some sort of like
precursor to a mammal, like maybe, or
probably more like that they're not snakes.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. I've never heard that theory, but
it was also super warm, on the Earth.
Can you imagine something that weighs 30 to 50 tons? How much heat that generates, and how much?
I can't.
How many leaves?
And how
like,
much it needed to eat.
Mow down a whole forest in a day.
To me, like whenever you think of like dinosaurs, there's a place in South Dakota called Dinosaur Park. It sits up on the top of the hill, and you can see the sauropod, the Brachiosaurus, from anywhere in Rapid City. And you look up, and you get up there, and the proportions probably aren't exactly right, but it gives you this like, wow, how cool would Jurassic Park if it was real?
How scary.
Yeah, and how scary.
Yeah.
As a kid, I absolutely would not walk underneath it because I was just too scared.
Cool. What else you got? Anything?
Oh, well, I mean, we could talk about, since this had Comet in
it's
it.
opening up.
I looked up just a little bit of information on, it was not a comet that hit. It was probably an asteroid.
Okay.
And it hit 66 million years ago is what they say now. And it was somewhere between 6 and 9 miles wide. And hey, kind of like the comet, it had a big impact.
Yes.
It caused earthquakes, tsunamis, and hot falling glass. Yeah. Oh my. And probably killed 75% of all life on the planet instantly.
Woo. Shockwave.
Or within minutes to that day. In one article I read, it described it as the worst day in the history of the Earth. Which, that's. But here, a positive note.
Yeah.
In that same article, it said that, scientists had thought, it took millions of years or, hundreds of thousands of years for life to really start taking. They think, within 1,000 years, life had taken back over.
Sure. Yeah. The atmosphere probably had to clear of ash for a couple hundred years, and
they think that like the really tenacious plants were able to survive, certain animals like crocodiles and small mammals, and then it's always one of those things that's hard to put into perspective. What's 1,000 years geologically or evolutionary? That's nothing.
Right.
That's a day in the history of the Earth. Not even a day, probably.
Right.
So
Thanks for the facts.
Yeah. Hey. That's what us old people do.
Yep. Easy does it.
We look up ridiculous facts and drink really good beer.
Hey, sounds good. Cheers to all of you. Check us out on social media. Come down, grab some beer. It's going to be fun. It's going to be good.
Yeah, you're so right.
All right.
Just in the time we were doing this, it's
very nice. Cheers.